Good evening, viewers.
For purposes of this interview, how would you prefer that you are addressed? As Bwalya Chishala, or as Bwalya, or as Chishala?
Bwalya, Chishala, whichever way. What is important this evening is that we are going to dissect and look at local governance. And as you have alluded, I am aspiring Kabata Ward 6 under the UPND.
All right. Okay. So that's Kabata Ward 6. All right. So first things first, Bwalya. My question to you is, how would you describe the way the local council, in this case, it should be the Lusaka City Council, which where Kabata Ward 6 does for, is currently being run?
I think in preamble, Chatewa and everybody else, I think we ought to acknowledge the fact that today we'll look at local governance. But for me, starters ought to be the fact that we are in a situation where local governance, for any government that is in power today, ought to be one of the most cardinal issues that any government that is in power ought to deliver diligently to its people. So whilst it is the topic today, I want to look at the issue starting from the root, and in this case the root ought to be the current government, because that is what ultimately now determines whether our councils will be run efficiently or they will not be run efficiently as currently prevails with what we see. So in answering your question, for me really emphasis has to come on certain factors that have to be in place before we can look at the issues and say, how is local governance, how is the government currently running the councils? So for me, and where I'm coming from, Kabata and as a party in particular, what we are going to, or what I'm going to say is that we cannot run our councils properly when there's corruption. Like corruption is the order of the day. We cannot run our councils with broken systems. We cannot run our councils properly and efficiently if the cadres are going to take over the roles of what the council is supposed to do currently. And this is a fact. Everywhere you go today, you will find most of the markets are run by cadres, which is not supposed to be the case, because what is happening now is that the cadres are getting that revenue which is supposed to be for the council. Okay.
So again, if I get you right, so you feel that outside of how the holistic government, as led in this case by the Patriotic Front, you cannot come down and talk about the local governance? Isn't it supposed to work the other way around, that if we have effective local authorities, this will translate to effective legislature? And
not at all, Chatewa. It's like the way you guys say it, you know, njoka ni kumoto. So it starts from the top, okay? So if we have a system in place, we have less corruption, we can have a system that is going to allow the councils to be run effectively. So now, when you talk about how our councils are being run, okay? So I'm coming from, for instance, I'm coming from Kabata Ward 6, and I'm an aspiring candidate. And I'll give you a case in particular, or an example. If you went to my ward, Kabata Ward 6, and you picked any of the people there and asked them, what would you have preferred? Would you have preferred for your MP and your councillor to have ShopRite erected, or you would have wished or desired to have the clinic that is just right next to have been expanded? And of course, everybody is going to tell you that would have wanted for the MP to expand the clinic. So
don't you think that in that case, others maybe for the sake of our viewers and the followers that are following us on other platforms, because this program is simulcasting on Muvi 1, on Muvi 2, which is also available on channel 104 on Topstar, as well as on Facebook and the MTN Plus app. For the sake of all this audience, would you mind just to share what is the geographical demarcation of Kabata Ward 6, and by that maybe just use common features that people would understand to say on this end when you reach this point, so that they understand which area we are zoning in, because you've started mentioning establishments. So I would just like for our viewers to have that map in their head.
Thank you, Chatewa. Kabata Ward 6 spans, I think I would start from you know where St. Paul's is. So St. Paul's, there's a road that goes all the way. That's Bama Road.
Yes.
There's a road that connects all the way up to Chilimburu Road.
Yeah.
It crosses all the way. It crosses Ring Road, and it goes all the way up to where there's almost that connection with Chawama.
Okay.
So you go again Bama Road at Kwacha. Kwacha, you go down again, just at the far end there. So that is what
the geographical area.
Locality,
all right, yeah. So you are giving examples. The current councillor that is representing the area you've mentioned, his name is Longa Chiboboka. Again, you want to believe that it wasn't in the best interest of the residents of Kabata Ward 6 to have had the shopping mall erected in that area. You feel that the upgrade of Kabata Clinic into a level 1 or into a bigger clinic would have been better?
Of course. You see, even if I was to, I don't know in which bracket I would categorize the erecting of ShopRite or whatever shopping mall at that site. Because what it is that, look, people have got wants and needs. Okay, and if you go to Kabata today, even if you asked most of the residents, they wouldn't want ShopRite to have been erected there. They don't even need ShopRite to have been erected there, because there are two cases in point. Okay, the population of Kabata has grown. All right, it has grown, and what we needed in that ward was the expansion of that hospital in order that we are now able to cater for more people. Okay, but we went ahead, our MP and the councillor, Mr. Longa, as you pointed out, saw it wise, okay, to go and put ShopRite there, and that's a foreign supermarket. Okay, it is time we started realizing to say ShopRite and these other shops are not serious investments. We went ahead and put ShopRite at a market. So what did we do there? Okay, what we did is that we actually messed up people's lives. Certain people that were, if you remember where the car park is today, there were traders there, Zambians, okay, and we removed them and opted to put a car park so that people can come and park and shop in a shop that is a foreign shop.
That makes you sound nationalistic. Are you against a foreign investment? Because I've heard you now say the third time that. And I would want to look at that area, because I've visited the area, more of a shopping mall. It's a mini shopping mall by measurement or by comparison to other places, but it's more of a shopping mall, because there are other shops that are within the same vicinity. But you have singled out what is notably the biggest of the shops that is there, which is the chain store ShopRite. But you sound nationalistic, don't you think?
Look, Chatewa, we only have one Zambia. This is our only Zambia, okay? So there are certain things that we need to protect and say, this ought only to be for Zambians. There was absolutely no need for us to go and put ShopRite there when we have a market there, okay? We needed to go ahead and just expand the hospital. That was the logical thing to do.
What about the market itself?
The market, look, let me get to the point first.
Okay. Finish your point.
When we talk about us having erected ShopRite there, the issue here is, did we need it? And the answer is a simple no. We don't need it. Even now, we still don't need it. Okay. So when we talk about good local governance, it should involve everybody. Okay? It should be by consensus. So you should ask the people in the area, what do you guys need? Because without that, then you're not getting to the people. You're not giving the people what they want. Okay.
So are you telling me here? Sorry for the interruption, but are you telling me and the viewers here that there was no consultation prior to the development of that piece of land?
Absolutely not, because there was a lot of rebellion against that very project, and people came.
Is that
out.
also what is associated to the assault of the Honourable Member of Parliament for Kabata?
I wouldn't want to comment on that because I'm not privy to what happens in PF, because as far as I'm concerned, whatever happened that day was an infighting issue with the PF.
Okay.
But my concern really is, why would we put up such a thing when people in the world, look, we are in a democracy, okay? And being in a democracy requires that you consult the people, you get the grassroots, understand the needs and desires of the people, okay? And from there, you sit and make a decision. The MP and whoever made that decision went and sat and opted to say, no, here we are going to do this, which is very bad.
But maybe in their defense, and I'm not a spokesperson for either the area MP or the ward councillor for the area in question, maybe in their defense they thought, look, we might have Kabata here, but the proximity to the university teaching hospital is just a matter of Burma Road. You cross the road, you basically at the highest hospital in the land. So why would you want to build a level 1 hospital here when you have got the highest hospital just within a kilometer?
It's an interesting question, but UTH itself, Chatewa, is overwhelmed even as we speak. Okay, UTH today does not have most of the equipment that we need. If you were to go to UTH today, Chatewa, you have an issue with your heart and you needed echo, they would give you a program or an appointment that is going to tell you go after 6 months. That is UTH. That is the hospital that you are saying is the biggest hospital. Yeah. Okay? But I'm going to answer you like this. UTH is a referral hospital for everyone in Lusaka. Okay? So even if you are at level 1 in Chilenge and they fail, in Chawama and they fail, they are going to refer to UTH. Okay? So we need that. Okay? We needed that clinic.
But Chilenge again. There is Chilenge level 1 on one bed,
Indeed.
Chishala.
It is.
There is UTH on another. And by extension, for those that live, say, for example, towards the St. Paul's area, the KCC area, they would even extend to go to the camp, the Skanze camp.
But as I pointed out,
so why would you want to have another clinic
if you and I, Chatewa, or anyone
if
else,
they could build more and people could have pizza.
As I pointed out, Chatewa, UTH is overwhelmed even as we speak. Skanze is a very small hospital. UTH is overwhelmed. Skanze is a small hospital. That is not something we even ought to talk about, because that initially was meant to cater for the people in the camp. Okay? But anyway, we've spoken too much about the hospital, because about the clinic and ShopRite. When really the issue is that when you are elected by the people, you work for the people. You do not make decisions without consulting the people. Okay, and this is why our MP, I'm sorry to meander a bit, was able to go in Parliament and stand and lie blatantly to say that we, the people of Kabata, were in support of Bill 10, which is a shame indeed. So now let me go. Let's get to this point now to say how is Kabata faring in terms of local governance. Now, it goes back to the same thing that I pointed out. Okay, to say there's no consensus. There's no, if you are a councillor and an MP, especially a councillor, you are the bridge between the people and the local administration. So we have a councillor in Kabata Ward 6 who only showed up when it was time for election. Today, if you go around and ask who's your councillor, very few people identify him. And his job, his role is very cardinal, because this is the person who is supposed to be in touch with the grassroots, identify the needs and aspirations of the people. Okay, and this person has failed to do that. Because today, if you go I'll take a case in example. Like, we have to accept that our country currently is faced with, we are in a serious economic crisis. Okay. So if today you, Chatewa, and I opted to say we want to do business, and we, for argument's sake, we say you want to erect a mobile booth. Okay, there are a lot of these youngsters who want to do business, venture into business, unlike what is currently prevailing in Kabata. So you go into mobile booth business. You know that you have to pay council fees. You have to have your own startup capital. For you to erect that booth itself is money. Okay, then the moment you erect it, you get these cadres, and I'm not even going to beat about the bush. PF cadres come to you and say you need to pay to us, and that's after everything. Okay.
And are the people paying?
Yes.
Then the people are accomplices.
Look, I'll tell you one thing. It's unfortunate, okay? Because today, if you have a booth, I have a booth myself. Okay, I'm not a weak person whereby anyone is going to come and push around. I'll stand my ground. But you see, you get to a point to say you want to avoid noise and you want to go ahead and just do your business. Because if you go to the police will tell you there's nothing you can do.
Have you personally ever gone to the police?
Yes.
And the police's response was
there's nothing they can do, and there's a lot of people in Kawata who will tell you the same thing. People who are suffering. I mean, why should we get oppressed by our own people, okay? Our own fellow Zambians, just because they are close to the powers that be.
Yeah, but
we are enslaving ourselves.
In that case, I'm glad you said, why are we being enslaved by our own people? So it's the people, by the people, and how would you then drag in the party? It's like, I mean, you have your neighbors, they know you, this is Bwalya, Chishala, and then back and forth. So if I'm misbehaving, it is I, in my own cognizance as Chatewa, that is bullying the community.
And you see, it goes back to the same thing that I said in the beginning.
How do you think the party would remedy that?
Broken systems.
Okay.
Okay, we have broken systems. And by that I mean, Chatewa, when you have systems in place, if somebody goes against the law and you go and report the police, the case is supposed to be taken up. Seriously. Today, look, let's not beat about the bush. Let's be serious as Zambians, because this is our country. We only have one Zambia, okay? Today, if you go and report a case and it's a PF cadre who is involved, nothing much will be done about it. Even the cops are scared. A case in example is where we saw, is it JJ who went and attacked Central Police? Okay? So we know what we are talking about, but we want to bury our heads in sand. It's not supposed to be the case. Okay?
When you say that the police are scared, the police are protected by the law. They are not only law enforcers, but they are a lawful organization created by the same law, and they have authority.
Look, I don't want to say anything against the police. The police are tied. Their hands are tied. Okay,
But this still sounds like what the Patriotic Front said about the MMD. When the Patriotic Front in 2011, years leading up to 2011, they would say the same thing. The founding father of the Patriotic Front, His Excellency Mr. Michael Chilufya-Sata, may so rest in peace, repeated this. You are working under very hard conditions. We understand, and back and forth. So now this time around, it's a UPND saying it about the Patriotic Front. Doesn't this sound a little bit deja vu?
Very unfortunate. Deja vu it may be, but it is a fact. I'll tell you, Chatewa, today that if there's currently an issue where if they identify you to be a UPND official and they find where you stay, you are not safe. You are not safe. That is a fact.
Have you been
Okay?
attacked yourself before?
I can attest to that.
Okay.
There was a time when I went to get my voter's card. All right? I went to the Kabata Community Hall. All right? When I reached, there was this guy who purported to be working for ECZ. When I was in line, all right, and that guy came and wanted to put other people. So I stood my ground and I told him, excuse me, you found us in the line. So how is it that you are controlling us? You are not even working for ECZ. So he looked at me and said, okay, wait. So I proceeded, got my voter's card. When I went outside, there was a hood of thugs waiting for me. Waiting for me. So I don't know what they would have done. They would have lynched me. Something like that. Fortunate for me, there were some PF guys that know me and said, no, this person, even if he's UPND, please don't touch him, because we know him. Now imagine what would have been of me had
you not been saved by the PF?
Precisely.
Okay, so the PF attacked you and the PF saved you.
Yes, so here's an issue also, Chatewa, where you see there's a lot of weight going around in our country, and it's very unfortunate because people ought to be, in touch with the ground. They must know what is really going on the ground. So you find that most of us in the UPND are condemned and looked at as to say these people only campaign on social media. But when you go on the ground, the hostility, the violence that you will find.
From who? From the would-be voters, or from who are the perpetrators of this violence?
Zambians are a peaceful people. Zambians are a peaceful people.
So I want to think that the Patriotic Front also are Zambians. So if you say the Zambians, you might be talking about the same people, aren't you?
Look, Zambians are a peaceful people. I'll repeat that. Okay. But when you go on the ground, the hostility, the violence, the oppression that you will get is unprecedented. It is like something we've never seen before. Okay. So people ought to appreciate that whilst they are saying we are mostly on social media, we do try to go and campaign. But the violence that we are met with is what is very dangerous. Sometimes you lose your eye, they'll damage your vehicle. A lot of these things have been reported. Okay.
All right, let's get back to the local governance. Dear viewers, those of you on Facebook, those of you that are watching us live on YouTube, for you on YouTube, remember to subscribe on this your channel and click on the notification, that little bell there, so that every time we go live, you are notified, and so that you don't have to miss a second of all the great programming content that we do have for you. This is The Furnace right here on Muvi Television. Our guest today is Chishala. He is an aspirant for Kabata Ward 6, and he seeks the adoption of the United Party for National Development, the UPND. And today's topic is on the state of local governance. We will feature a number of people that have their views on this very pertinent issue of just local governance. The area that you have chosen, or that you intend to represent, should the United Party for National Development choose to adopt you, I think it's the hotspot of Kabata, if you would want to put it, because it is in this area that the Kabata main market does exist. It is in this area that the Kabata Community Hall does exist. It is in this area also, right across opposite on the Bama Road, that Kabata main police station does exist. A number of faith based centers are there. We've got a Catholic parish, we've got an Anglican a UCZ worship center, and a number of other worship centers. We also do have the Kabata Cultural Village in that same area, as well as an establishment that is owned by the Ministry of Defense under the Zambia Army. So quite a hot spot if you come to think about it. But talking about hot spots, it also means this is the same area where you have the nightclubs, the bars, and this is the happening part of Kabata. This is where Kabata comes to life at night. And one of the challenges that is there is the issue of substance abuse, especially among the young people. You claim that the incumbent, Longa Chiboboka, is an absentee councillor. What do you think can be done to try and keep some of these vices that are associated with substance abuse, be it alcohol, be it tobacco, or indeed any other psychotropics that would be available in an area such as that?
Thanks, Chatewa. Very important question, and I would like to begin by saying this, that whilst Kabata has that bad name, people ought to appreciate that Kabata has produced a lot of good people, people that have contributed hugely, immensely to the development of not only Kabata, but the country as a whole. It is unfortunate that currently there is a lot of bars, okay? And when you look at the situation, it is very disheartening. So now, if you are a councillor, you are the local authority, and every day there's a bar that is mushrooming. Do you realize, Chatewa, that every day in the morning when you pass in Kabata, even when there's a lockdown, the time when they close down the bars, you would always find youth who are drunk, which is not supposed to be the case, okay? But it is the case because we don't have people that are serious, and these people are the ones that are sitting in authority, okay? These are people that are supposed to make the decisions. So this is a simple case of make the right decisions, enforce it, so that you have policies in place, okay? There's too much beer drinking in Kabata, okay? Yes, a bar is a business venture, but you ought to have a limit as to how many bars you can have in an area. So if you were to ask our councillor, even our MP, and say, how many bars do you have in Ward 6, for instance, he has no count, because he doesn't know. And that is why he has no problem tomorrow or today if a new bar is opened. Because if you have count of what is going on in your ward, you know then that to say, no, this we are at maximum, we cannot do this anymore. But because we have people that are off the ground, they don't know what is going on, anything is happening. Okay, it is not only the bars. I would tell you a case in point also of, we recently had some heavy rains, and we saw houses being flooded. And I remember the MP was contacted, the councillor was contacted, and up to now there's been no response. But much of this flooding is because, you see, there's been illegal, structures being erected on what are supposed to be drainages. Okay, but because we have people that do not want to do their job, the moment they were elected, they went and sat, and the only thing they do is collect. So the issue now is, we as a party in UPND, and I'm going to emphasize yet again on systems to reduce corruption to just zero. Once you have that, once you have systems in place, and once you have an MP, and once you have a councillor, especially a councillor who is in touch with the grassroots, who listens to the plight of the people, who is able to get what the people say and say, okay, this is what my people want, and this is what we ought to deliver, then everything else will be in place. The only reason everything else is happening like this in Kabata is because for a very long time, we've had people who are not serious about working. We've had people who've gone into that office, and the only thing they look at is their tummies. Right. And that ought to change.
That ought to change. I'm going to open the phone lines just now for the first batch of callers. So it is +260 978 594 682. That's 0978 594 682. And if you are contacting us from outside Zambia, remember to add +26. Then you should be through. Our guest today is Bwalya Chishala, an aspirant for Kabata Ward 6 under the Kabata constituency in the Lusaka district of Lusaka province. I asked the question on how can we address the issue, especially facing the young people, because not only do we have, is there a significant amount of drinking? I mean, if you look at the Midlands, which is basically Kabata constituency, if you look at the Midlands, you go to Kamwala, somewhere near the correctional remand center, you have the famous Banda area. Then it's not as quite as big. It keeps on growing as you're going, as you're heading, as you are more eastbound on Chilumbulu or Bama Road, and then from there, then you come to your area, which starts with KCC area. That's whole nothing but a drink zone. Then you proceed a little bit. You have got the main center, which is the Kabata market and its history and back and forth. In the past, the hall at Kabata, I remember going there to try out boxing. There used to be boxing that used to take place. But
exactly.
Now,
exactly, Chatewa.
There's a lot of potent alcohol being sold at very, very low prices, which means even people that don't have as much money, they can get quite as high as they want to get on alcohol that probably poses even a threat to their health.
Broken systems. But again, Chatewa, it is like this. You see, when you look at us in the world today, okay, we had play parks, and if you ask me where these play parks are,
what happened? You tell us. You are the residents.
I will tell you these play parks were sold. Okay.
To who?
Let me finish that. As a word, all right, we had play parks. There's one that is still existing, but it's quite dormant. There's really nothing. There's one in Livala, though it's in Livala ward. It's still there, but it's,
okay. Hold on to your thought. We have someone on the line. Hello. Good evening. You are now through to the furnace.
Yes, Kabata, how are you?
I'm very fine, thank you, sir. What is your name?
Yeah, this is Mr. Mkonka calling you from PHI Lusaka.
Mr. Mukonka from PHI Lusaka, that's Mnali constituency.
Yeah.
Sir, please go ahead with your constituency.
Yeah. How are you aspiring candidate for the local government?
I'm fine, thank you, Mr. Mkonka. How are you this evening?
I'm okay, my brother.
Thank you.
The problem I have, moderator, the problem I have myself with the problem I have with most of the councillors in the country, moderator, is one. Most of them don't understand the Local Government Act. Most of them do not separate the operations of local government and the central government. They don't understand the two. And no wonder you see the aspiring candidates, they are complaining that, the current councillor in Kabata does not even understand how many bars are there, how many infrastructures have been built, drainages are being blocked. They don't understand their law. I don't know whether they are schooled or not. I don't understand. They don't understand that. I request all the aspiring candidates, especially for local government, to make sure they go and study the act of local government and learn how to separate the local government operations and that of central government, so that they understand how the departure point of the two, and the interface of the two. When a councillor understands all these things, you find that the councillor will be able to understand the perimeters of his or her operation. But very few councillors understand that. No wonder my brother there is busy trying to school the current councillor in Kabata on what he's supposed to do on the ground. You see the point? So I therefore recommend that let most of councillors please understand the operation of government and the operation of central government and differentiate the two. Then you'll be able to understand what they're supposed to do on the ground. Thank you, moderator.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mkonka. 0978594682. That is the number you are dialing. And if you're calling us from outside Zambia, it's +260 978594682, and you will be through to the program. This is the Furnace on Movie Television. I've got room for 2 more callers before I get back to our guest. Hello, good evening. You are through to the Furnace on Movie Television.
Good evening, Chateo.
Good evening. Thank you. Kindly give us your name and where you're calling us from. Precious.
Yes.
How are you doing, Precious?
I'm fine, and thank you. I was able to meet William at Chainama. He assisted me.
We thank God for that. Please go ahead with your contribution.
Yes. Just wanted to just comment on this topic. I know Kabata is not Chawama.
Yeah, in Chawama, yes.
But I know that we have the same problems with all the constituencies. Because what I would want to talk about is that when it's election time like this, we are able to see these people on TV and so on. The moment elections are over, like here in Chawama, I don't even know the Kansela. You know, I've been trying, the issue that you raised, Chatewa, of youth loitering, just drinking and abusing drugs. If it's in Chawama, it's worse. So now we'll do even other things like Tumarod, Tumarod's Twako. You don't even know where to find the Kansela. You know? So like him there, we are able to see him. The moment that he will get into power, he will be busy kusakira maplots and so on. So that is what I feel they always do. So you find that no matter how he will try to explain and to say that they are the best UPND, I can assure you, Chate, of course, because people have lost hope in these people. Thank you so much.
Precious, before you go,
yes.
With your final remark that us, the people, have lost hope in the politicians, what is your feeling around participating in an election?
The feeling? No, we will participate. We have no choice.
It's a dragging matter.
Hello?
It's more of a dragging matter, isn't it?
Yeah, but we have no choice. We have to exercise our right. But at the end of it all, I'm not lying. And I wish, Chatewa, a request, try to find as well a councillor Chawama.
I'll get you Leonard Sikombe, Ward 2. That's Chawama. And I know Tasila Lungu.
Tasila is not here. Wakono Kuchawama, like where this area Kuomboka and so on.
That should be Leonard Sikombe. I'll try to get in touch with him.
Yeah, try to get in touch with him and because we don't know them.
Okay, we'll do that. Thank you very much for that assignment.
Thank you.
All right, that's Precious in Chawama. We still have room for one more call, and then I will get back to Bwalya to try and either respond to what has come through, or we continue with our conversation. +260 978 594 682 is the number to dial. You are now through to the Furnace. This is Movie Television. Good evening. Hello, good evening.
Good evening, Chateo. How are you?
I'm very fine, thank you, sir. How are you?
I am Teresi, calling from Manyinga. My name is Pesi Kayobo.
Pesi Kayobo from Manyinga.
Yeah, you were lost, you guys. Where did you go? You were lost in the wilderness.
I went to the mountain to pray. Can't you even tell from the voice that looks like the anointing has increased?
Yeah, you have come back. I can see now.
Fantastic. We thank God for that. Please go ahead with your contribution. I have Bwalya Chishala in the studio with me.
Okay, right. I want to ask the gentleman there, how is the relationship between him and the councillor and the area MP there? Whatever is happening there in water.
Okay.
How's the relationship in terms of maybe advice? Do they come to they meet together maybe to offer advice?
Okay.
That's my take. Thank you.
All right. Fantastic. So we're going to work this out the invented way. So we're going to start with the last caller and then make it all the way to the first caller, Mr. Mkonka. So Pesi Kayobo from Manyinga, has those questions. I'm sure you got them. How would you describe your relationship with your ward councillor as well as the area member of parliament? Are they open to advice, or have you even bothered to try and offer them advice because you are a stakeholder? Let's start from there, Bwalya, shall we?
It's non-existent. It doesn't exist.
Okay.
See, as I said, and you see, maybe let me just answer the last caller.
That's Kayobo.
Yes, there is no relationship whatsoever between us, the locals in the ward, and the authorities, and that is the ward councillor as well as the MP, because they literally have no platform that allows us to get through to them. Okay, so the people that they are in touch with are the people who are in their own party. Okay, so if they were in touch, much of these things that are happening that are wrong would not be happening. So the simple answer to that is that there's no relationship. And to answer I think the previous caller before,
that's
the
the lady
caller,
Precious from Chawama.
I can only concur with what she says, and it's so unfortunate because this is what has been happening, because it's been councillor after councillor, MP after MP, and every time there's an election, it's like that is the time we come through and we make all these promises, and the moment we are elected, we seem to disappear in thin air. But then, that being the case, should not and should never actually give us that despair to say we should not fight anymore. Because we are a democracy and we should always strive to fight for what is right. And in this regard, even if yesterday, today, and before yesterday, the persons who were there were not right, we should not at any point opt to say, I think we've given up, because the moment we give up is the moment we lose. So let's keep fighting, and the moment we keep fighting, people will realize, okay?
You actually said, because I don't want you to say that we misquoted you. You concurred with Precious, whose cry was that once they are vying for office, you will see them on Blunt Talk, you will see them on The Furnace, on the assignment, you will see them on Breakfast with the Boys, you will see them even on Z Kids, they will appear.
Indeed.
You will see them everywhere. But once they are elected, their phones go unanswered.
Indeed.
Is this the same path that we should, the people of Ward 6, hand you the responsibility to go to Civic Center on their behalf?
I want to...
Will you disappear as well?
I want to say this, Chatewa, that I think a lot of productive youths should come forth and opt to be elected and adopted, ought to be adopted and elected. Because what it is that in the past, most of our youth and the young have been looking at politics and saying, I can't do this, I can't do this, it's dirty. But what has been happening is that what we want is not happening, because the people that are being elected have no idea. The people that are wanting to be in these positions have no idea of what to do. And there we are, seated, expecting that we are going to get the fruits. It's not going to happen, and it's never going to happen. And this is why we need people that have something to do. It's not like if I'm not adopted today, then that is the end of my life. Okay? I'm here. I have other things that I'm doing on the side. Okay? So my being here, to me, is really the fact that I want to save the people. And I've seen things on the ground that are not right. And when you move around Kabata, there's a lot of things that are going to hurt you. And as it hurts you, you start to think and say, look, this is not right, this is not right. And you look at the person that is in charge, the councillor or the MP, they're absolutely out of sync with what is going on the ground.
And
So
Kabata is an interesting constituency, right?
Yes,
in the fact that it's among the very few constituencies that has produced a head of state and has also produced a vice president, among other people that have represented if we're looking at it from a constituency point of view.
As I said
I'm
in the
referring
beginning.
to the likes of Honorable Brigadier Godfrey General Mianda and His Excellency Mr. Michael Chilufya-Sata.
But really, Chatewa, the point here is
But
that...
do you have anything to show for it as an area that has produced a head of state and vice presidents?
Well, the issue with Kabata is that we are faced with a lot of problems, which I've alluded to, okay? And those issues can easily be tackled when we have the right people in that place,
Okay.
okay? So for us in Kabata, the only thing that we need is to go out there when the time for voting comes. Let's not despair. Let's not look at issues and say, no, because every time we put someone in power, they disappear.
Yeah.
Okay, because then we would have self-defeated. So what I'm going to urge the people in Kabata, the people of Kabata, is that let's be factual, let's be objective, let's not fear anything. Because we are a democracy and we must protect our democracy. Okay, we must demand for what is right and for what rightly belongs to us. Okay, and in this case, we deserve proper roads, we deserve good drainage system, we deserve to do business in an environment that is free, okay? We want a situation where today, if you, Chatewa, want to open up a shop or want to do a booth, you are not going to be harassed by somebody just because they are wearing a PF Chitenge.
All right.
It's not supposed to be the case in point. And you see, it is like this because the ruling party is allowing it. If today the president can wake up and say, I do not want Kadarism, then there will be no Kadarism. But Kadarism is there because it is being tolerated. It is allowed.
All right. So, Mr. Mkonka from PHI, you want to respond to him? Because I want to address something after your response, even as we open the phone lines one more time.
Indeed, what Mr. Mukonka said is nothing but on point. Okay, he's very much on point. It is an issue where, like I said, you need people who understand to come through and be adopted. You need people who are able to see what is wrong. You need people who are objective. You need people who can stand their ground and say, look, this is what my ward needs. And if you understand, councillor, the role of a councillor really is for you to get what the people on the ground want.
And take it to central government. All right. So, for purposes, according to our laws, the Local Government Act, which I did allude to during the introduction, Part 3 of the Local Government Act reads, and I quote, 16(1), a local authority shall discharge functions conferred on it by this act within the area of that local authority, and may, with the approval of the minister, discharge that function outside the area of the local authority. 2, without prejudice to the Constitution, the functions of a local authority within an area are set out in the first schedule. And then 17(1), whenever by this act a power is conferred on a local authority to establish or maintain an undertaking, service or facility, the local authority may A, control the undertaking, service or facility and regulate its use by the public or any class of the public. B, join with the government, another local authority, or with the approval of the minister, any other person or authority in establishing and maintaining the undertaking, service, facility, or C, abolish or discontinue the undertaking, service, or facility. I could go on and on, but that's the Local Government Act, which in Part 3 does state out, of course, what are the functions, and it gives all this. From your observation, how many of the councillors that you have been able to interact with, both those that are currently serving or those that have served before, the ones that are currently doing that, do you feel have even taken time to read the Local Government Act, not even the Constitution, just the Local Government Act?
I think the case really ought to be that we should emphasize that whoever is going to aspire to be councillor, MP, or at whatever position, they ought to understand what their role is.
As
Okay?
prescribed by the law.
As prescribed by the law.
Hold on to
Now,
that thought. You are through to the fairness on Movie Television. Kindly give us your name and where you're calling us from.
Good evening, Dominic.
Good evening, thank you. What is your name?
My name is Alex.
Where are you calling us from, Alex?
I'm calling from Kabompo.
From Kapompo.
Northwestern Province.
Fantastic. Sir, please go ahead with your contribution.
I want to find out from the incoming councillor, what is it that you think you would do, especially for the majority youth that are doing nothing in your ward, that the other councillor has failed to do?
All right.
I'm interested in the youth, yes.
Is it?
Thank you.
All right, Alex. Thank you so very much. I'm going to bring in one more caller, and then I think at that point my director is going to close the calling lines in the interest of time. 0978594 682. That's 0978594 let's see. This is our very last caller. Hello. Good evening. You are through to the fairness. Hello?
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 Hi, would you just kindly speak up? They're on the line, but they are whispering. Let me see. Will I be able to squeeze in one before my director shuts down the line? 0978594682 is the number to dial. Who has got those quick fingers? Let's see if we can get that one in. Otherwise, Bwalya, please go ahead and respond to the question that has been posed by Alex, all the way from Northwestern in Kapompo to be.
Alex, a very good question indeed. And you see, to be a councillor, I will say this again, to be a councillor is to be the bridge between the people and the local government. So for me, really, I've identified a few factors in Kabata that we really need to address, and I think cardinal amongst them is the abuse of alcohol and drugs in particular. Okay, so to be a councillor requires that you are innovative. Okay, it requires that you push for certain laws, and in this case, we are going to push for a law that is going to restrict the number of bars that we can have in our ward. And once we do that, look, Chatewa, I haven't really spoken about what we can do in the ward, but we have a lot of talented people and youth in Kabata, Ward 6 in particular. I would go to the Kabata Cultural Village. If you went there today, it's a sorry sight. Okay, and that is a place where we are supposed to be making money, because that place is supposed to attract tourists. That place only requires a little bit of injection in terms of finances. And it will only take somebody who is serious to engage corporates and engage other people. There are a lot of people that are willing to invest there. And once they invest, it creates self-sustaining jobs for those guys who are in the cultural village. But today what we find is that you find the people in the cultural village would move from there, use their own transport, go to arcades and these other shopping malls and sell their merchandise there. When the case ought to be that tourists go there and they pay a certain sum and they buy whatever it is that is in that cultural village. So there's been lack of financing, lack of investing in say, that cultural village. We are able to come up also with financing plans for youth who have ideas of how they are ideas of doing a business. Okay? Once we have that in place, and we can have that in place because money is there. Okay, I'll give you an example of how the current government wasted money on giving certain individuals, I will not name names, in the name of youth empowerment and whatnot. And yet when you go to the cultural village, which is a very strategic, area for me. They did nothing. That place is rotting.
Yep, you would have to continue this conversation, God willing, in the near future. Those of you that are vying for councillor positions, please make sure you lay your hands on this 56-page document. It's the Local Government Act, which can be obtained from the government printers, of course. Read and find out what the Act says, and abreast yourself with what is contained therein, as recommended, of course, by Uncle Mukonka from PHI in Lusaka. Our guest today has been Bwalya Chishala from Kabata. We hope to bring in more and more of such right here on Movie Television, so that we get to find out what is it that they have on their mind, even as they have stated that they intend. My very final question, and I hope you can answer this in less than 30 seconds. In an event that the United Party for National Development does not give you an adoption certificate, what happens to the political and public service ambitions of Bwalya Chishala?
It will continue to be UPND, because I believe in my president, HH. If you have a chance of meeting the man, you would tell me point blank to say that man is exactly what this country needs at this moment. So if you are a youth anywhere in this country, if you want your future...
I didn't say you should sell HH. He's not here to defend himself. So leave HH
I'm
alone.
going to send him because...
Let him rest. Let him rest. Would you rally behind the person that will get the adoption certificate?
Absolutely.
Okay, that's all I wanted to hear. Please, insideni wa HH. All right, but on a more serious note, this is where we wrap it up as far as the fairness for this Thursday edition is concerned. We're standing in for IP, who is a little bit under the weather. We wish you a quickest recovery, brother man. And on behalf of the entire production crew, my floor manager as well as my director, Chris Mvula, and of course, obvious upstairs, making sure that everything stays on. My name is Chatewa. Ambia kudariseni. Pleasant viewing.